Quick question before we start. When's the last time a hero actually fixed anything? Because in anime, the heroes win the fight, and then what? The world just goes back to normal. Same corrupt system, same cycle. But the villains, the ones we're told to hate, a lot of them looked at that broken system and said, no more. Not with speeches, with action. Real, terrifying, world-changing action. So today we're not asking who's the strongest villain or the coolest villain. We're asking who was right. These are 10 anime villains whose logic was so airtight, you finished their arc thinking, okay, he kinda had a point. Stick around till the end, because number 1 is going to make you rethink what villain even means. Let's get into it. Number 10, Light Yagami from Death Note. By the end, yeah, Light is unhinged, full god complex, completely lost the plot. We're not defending that part. But rewind to Season 1 Light. Look at what actually happened to the world under Kira. Crime dropped by a staggering 70%. Not 7, 70. People stopped being afraid to walk home at night. No government in real history has ever pulled off a number like that. Light didn't fix the world through committees and policy debates that go nowhere. He just did it. Brutally, yes, but effectively. He's number 10 because the method was monstrous, but pretending the results weren't real, that's just denial. Number 9, Madara Uchiha. Everyone remembers Madara as the final boss, the guy who almost ended the world. But slow down and listen to why he wanted the infinite Tsukuyomi. Madara grew up watching his own brothers die in a war that never had a winner, just an endless cycle. Village kills village, kid takes revenge, kid dies, repeat forever. He didn't see ninjas, he saw generations of children raised exclusively to become weapons. So his answer was a permanent dream, where everyone gets their perfect life, no pain, no loss, no war. Is an illusion a real solution? No. But is a peaceful dream actually worse than a reality where 8-year-olds are handed kunai and told to kill or be killed? Madara wasn't chasing power for the sake of power. He was trying to end a nightmare the only way he knew how. He just got the method wrong. Number 8, Makishima Shogo. And this one is going to feel uncomfortably relevant. In his world, a system called Sybil scans your brain and decides based purely on stress levels whether you're a criminal. Not what you did, what you might do. Score too high and you're erased. No trial, no appeal. Sound familiar? It should. We're inching toward systems like this in real life right now. Predictive policing, AI risk scores, social credit systems. Makishima looked at Sybil and said, "This isn't peace, it's a cage with good PR." So he broke laws on purpose, loudly, to prove a single point. A society that can't handle imperfection isn't safe, it's just quiet. He wasn't a monster causing chaos for fun. He was the one person willing to get his hands dirty to prove free will is worth more than comfort. Number 7, Stain the hero killer, and his message resonated with fans just as much as it did with the characters. Here's the thing the anime community still argues about. He wasn't wrong about the problem. In his world, hero became a brand ranked by popularity instead of who actually saves the most people. Stain saw heroism turned into a business model, with All Might basically the only one still doing it for the right reason. So he started cutting, not randomly, surgically, targeting the heroes in it for clout, leaving the genuine ones alone. It's murder, full stop. But it's also the most honest review the hero industry ever got. Stain forced an entire society to ask, are we actually helping people or just performing heroism for views? That question didn't go away after he was arrested. It's still the most quoted villain monologue in the series, for a reason. Number 6, Meruem, the king of the Chimera ants. This is the one that breaks people. Meruem was born a predator, genuinely viewed humans as livestock. Nothing personal, just biology. Then he meets Komugi, a blind girl who beats him at a board game, and something in him shifts. For the first time, he sees a human being as an equal. And once he sees that, he can't go back to seeing the rest of humanity as cattle either. So he starts planning to rule, not to conquer, but to fix the hypocrisy he sees everywhere. Nations stockpiling weapons while children starve 2 countries over. The monster ends up showing more empathy in his final days than most of the human governments hunting him. That's not an accident in the writing. Number 5. Nagato Pain. Maybe the most quietly devastating logic on this entire list. Peace through pain. Humans don't change because someone asks nicely. They change when they feel the cost, personally. Nagato lost everyone he loved to a war started by people who never once set foot on his village's soil. So his plan was simple and horrifying. Give the world a taste of the pain his village felt every single day. Because comfort breeds indifference, and indifference is what keeps wars going generation after generation. Was he right about the hypocrisy of the great nations buying their peace with smaller villages' blood? Completely. Pain isn't really the villain here. He's the receipt. Number 4. Askeladd the mercenary, who might be the most slept-on character in this entire genre. Here's a man who lies, manipulates, and kills constantly throughout Vinland Saga. By every surface-level metric, he's a villain, but every move he makes serves one goal: protecting his mother's homeland, Wales, from being erased by Viking conquest. He grew up in a world that worships strength and treats honor as a story told to boys to convince them dying for a king is glorious. So instead of dying with honor, he chose to live with strategy, manipulating kings, guiding a future ruler, doing the ugly work nobody else was willing to do. He dies, labeled a traitor. But the peace that follows, he's the one who quietly built the path to it. Number 3, the deepest cut on this list. Squealer from the New World. If you haven't watched this one, here's the setup. Psychic humans treat non-psychic monster rats as disposable slave labor, erased the moment they're inconvenient. Squealer leads a revolution. He fights for his people to be recognized as something more than livestock, with a hive mind, the exact same things every liberation movement in human history has demanded. The humans in the story called him a monster and a traitor. But flip the perspective. If a psychic human did exactly what Squealer did, fighting for an oppressed group's freedom, we'd call that person a hero without hesitation. He's only the villain, because he's fighting the people who control the narrative. Number 2, the one that split the entire anime community in half, Eren Yeager. The Rumbling is by any measure one of the darkest things a protagonist has ever done in anime. We're not softening that, but walk through his actual position for a second. The world had already decided his people were subhuman and needed to be exterminated, not might be. There were active plans in motion. Eren wasn't choosing between peace and war. He was choosing between his people dying now or dying slightly later, after more of his friends had already been sacrificed, trying to negotiate with a world that was never going to listen. He didn't want to be remembered as a monster. He chose to become one anyway, specifically so the people he loved wouldn't have to live the rest of their lives at war. It's horrifying logic. It's also completely consistent with everything we know about how desperate people behave when every other door has already been closed in front of them. And the number 1 anime villain who was actually right, no real competition for this spot, Lelouch Britannia. He didn't just react to a broken world. He engineered the exact villain the world needed in order to heal. Lelouch understood the world wasn't going to move past centuries of war and prejudice on its own. It needed a single, unifying enemy, hated enough that every old grudge could be set aside to defeat him. So he built that enemy out of himself, on purpose, knowing exactly how the story would end for him. He didn't just win a war. He designed his own death as the final piece of the plan, so the world's hatred would die with him instead of continuing for another 100 years. That's not villainy. That's the single most selfless act on this list, wrapped in the most villainous packaging possible. So, that's the list. 10 villains who looked at a broken system and decided someone had to break it open, even if it meant the whole world calling them a monster. None of them woke up wanting to be hated. They just did the math, realized nobody else would make the hard call, and made it anyway. Now I want this comment section to argue with me. Who's the most right villain on this list? And who did I leave off? I already know some of you are typing, "Where's Itachi?" right now. If this video made you rethink even one of these characters, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Every video find the angle nobody else is talking about. That's the whole reason this channel exists. So subscribe now because this kind of deep dive content is coming. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one, and drop a like if you made it this far. This is Zyronime TV channel. This was top 10 anime villains who were actually right, and I'll see you in the next one.